Oh my God. Got it.
And there we go. Okay, so let's kick things off. So to start, my name is Rose Guth, and I'm the executive director of the Leo Marchutz School of Painting and Drawing. And I'm so glad to have you all here with us today to talk or to listen, I guess, to Nick Cruz Velleman, our featured artist of November. I'm just going to do a quick intro of Nick, and then he's going to have the floor and do his talk, and then we'll open it up for questions and discussion toward the end. And we generally like to keep these to about an hour. Sometimes we'll keep going a little bit longer if the discussion is organically going, but just so you all can keep track of your schedules. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Nick and then we'll get going. We can hear from him, the main event. So I'm guessing many of you know Nick already, but for those of you who don't, Nick is a longtime friend, artist, and student of the Leo Marchutz School of Painting and Drawing. First coming into contact with the school in 2009, then returning for a year to apprentice with John and Alan in 2012. And then, like so many of our students who have come back over and over and over again, he came back again from 2018 to 2020. He's now a working artist in Washington, D.C., which is his hometown. And he teaches online courses now with the Smithsonian and other institutions in DC, and also now with the Leo Marchutz School. He's going to be teaching some online courses with us this January and February, which he will talk about. And so without further ado, I will introduce you all to Nick Cruz Velleman and hand over the floor to him.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rose. Thank you so much. It's great to see you all. It's really cool. I don't know. It's really cool that we could do this and, gather all over the world. Big Dog, I know you're struggling a little bit with the flu, but thanks for having me as well. John, great to see you in your home with that beautiful painting behind your head. I have Senior Bjorklund, who I've never met in person, but I see you there, and Junior Bjorklund, who I had a good time with in DC. Lena, wow. All right, so Lena Fruman, sorry, I'm just going to do a little introduction to everyone before I get started on my thing. But Lena is actually the mother of a childhood friend of mine here from Washington, D.C. And when she works with an organization called Iona that provides programming for older adults. And when I came back to D.C., she asked if I would do some art classes in some public spaces, libraries, synagogues, etc. Here. And I've actually had the pleasure of meeting a lot of wonderful, enthusiastic and talented artists who are with us today. I had Robin yesterday, Miriam, we missed you today, but I had Mary, who I hadn't seen in weeks, join us for my class today. And Claudine is also a student of mine on Tuesday mornings. Bonjour Claudine, merci pour venir. Elle est française aussi. Cool, sweet. Mom, of course, she's probably a little too shy to show her face, but I know she's watching intently, always there. Pauline, salut. Kathleen, it's throwing me off that James Roberts is the label for your your little thumbnail thing right here in gallery view. But Kathleen, good to see you as well. Thanks for coming. I do know most of you. Barry, we actually met in DC just a couple weeks ago, I think. Right? Yeah, there we go. Cool. Well, I actually want to talk. This is presented by the Leo Marchutz School, and a lot of you know me from my lengthy time studying there. But I actually kind of want to talk about everything other than that. I want to do a little past, present, future with me as an artist sort of surrounding my time studying with Alan and John in France. So I want to take us back to 2018, just less than 5 years ago, to right before my most recent stint in Aix-en-Provence studying with Alan and John. And I'm going to share my screen with you all a little bit. So before I was an artist, or before I took myself seriously as an artist, I guess you could say. I was a musician here in DC. This is an Instagram post that I posted back in August of 2018, and this is what I was up to. Can we all see this? Do we all see the post? Yeah. All right. Cool. So yeah, I've been playing music since I was a teenager, and you know, at this point in my life, this is what I was up to. This is a picture of me playing at one of my friend's weddings, but I played in a lot of bands in DC. This is a group of actually wounded war veterans from Walter Reed that have learned music as a form of rehab, who I got an opportunity to sort of manage and work with and play with. This is another band I played with in DC, more of like a post-hardcore punk, post-grunge outfit. That's the same band there. And then I played with like a jazz funk trio in bars and cafes, improvising. You know, like every Thursday night we'd have like a residency at a cafe down the street from me, and I'd play. That's us again. This is another band I played with. These are friends of mine from college. But yeah, I mean, just to show you that this is what my life was less than 5 years ago. Not so much the paintbrush, way more the guitar. And frankly, I was feeling kind of lost, I guess you could say. Hold up. Entering the room, Katya Barco. What is up, girl? It's been, so I studied with Katya for the first time in 2009, and I'm so, yeah, there you go. Right back at you. Anyways, so, oh, Katya, you just missed all like the photos of me playing guitar and stuff. But anyways, I was talking about how I was a musician, and not so much an artist, but I felt really lost. You know, you saw all the bands, it was all different kinds of music: funk, jazz, hardcore punk, soul, R&B, classic rock. I mean, I really was spreading myself thin, and I was trying to dip my fingers into a lot of different things. But honestly, I never really felt like any one genre or any one music scene fit me. I would try them all on, and I could play them all convincingly and well, and I would study them and practice, of course, but none of it really felt right enough for me to go all in and pursue it as like a career, as like a path that I really wanted to continue deeply down. Anyway, so I was playing a lot in DC at this time, and feeling lost, I saw a workshop was being offered by a musician in DC named Kokai, who everyone sort of looks up to as like an uncle figure. He's a little older than us, but he's very well connected, and he mentors us. He was offering a workshop, a one-day workshop on identity as an artist, and sort of finding your identity as an artist. And I was really hesitant at the time if I wanted to do something like that. That was sort of a step in a direction more serious than I think, I don't want to say I was ready for, but I don't know. I was kind of stubborn. I'm still kind of stubborn. I still believe I could do everything by myself on my own, single-handedly, you know? And sort of recognizing like, yeah, I need some mentorship, I need some guidance was, I don't know, a barrier that I had to work through on my own. Anyways, so I signed up for this workshop, and we're invited to do the workshop at a studio in downtown DC, actually not far from where everyone was staying, any of us who were in the DC museum seminar, really close to there. It was a small studio, kind of, the entrance is in like a back alley, and actually Stevie Wonder recorded there, which was pretty cool. But I'll show you, there was only 3 of us. I actually have a photo from the workshop. This is us in the studio. There's only 3 of us who signed up for this thing. Kokai is not pictured, but that's me over there on the left. And this was attending this workshop with Kokai. I mean, we talked about a lot of things, but there was one particular question that he asked all of us that snapped everything into focus for me. And very simply, he asked us, why do you do what you do? And I'd never thought of it that way before. I had always thought I needed to get good at making this kind of music, or I needed to learn the skills to be able to produce music on my computer, to license to movies or commercials, et cetera, whatever. But no one had ever asked me point blank, Nick, why do you do what you do? And it was kind of then that it all became very, very clear to me. The reason why I played so much, the reason why I kept going back to my guitar, the reason why I kept joining new bands and finding new and more opportunities to play and perform was because of the grounding, centering mindfulness that playing music gave me. There's really nothing like allowing your senses to take over, giving yourself a break from your conscious, from the voices in your head, conscious thinking cycles that we go through. Playing music was my way to get all of that to stop and to just exist in the moment. And it could be so, I don't know, it can fill you up in a way, you know, playing music, playing like an electric guitar or an electric bass, it really fills up your whole body, and you feel like your entire existence is just that sound. And it's a really, I don't know, it's a kind of peace, a kind of sort of, yeah, grounding, centering peace that I hadn't really found in any other thing that I did except painting and drawing, of course. So, oh my God, Jenny's here too. Jenny, all right, sorry, this is the party. I'm just going to be introducing everyone as they come through. Jenny's a student of mine in my Smithsonian class. I just had a session with her last night. Great to see you here, Jenny. Thanks for joining. Okay, so Kokai asks us, why do you do what you do? And the answer for me was, well, I keep coming back to my guitar. I keep playing music because nothing centers me and grounds me and gives me that sort of thorough peace and mindfulness like playing music does. And as soon as I sort of formed that answer in my mind, it became clear that, Nick, it's not really about playing music. It's not really about like, you know, what band are you going to try to make it with or anything like that. If why you do it is because of this mindfulness, this creative mindfulness, that's what you need to be sharing with people. It's not trying to get people to listen to music or come to your shows. It's the question then became for my future, how do I share this experience of creative mindfulness with other people? And I actually decided then and there, or I realized then and there on that day, that I think teaching painting and drawing would be a more effective way to share that experience of mindfulness with someone than performing for them, frankly. I felt like it would be much easier to get someone to pick up a pencil and start making marks on whatever paper they have, you know, even if it's just a Post-it note, to sort of get that connection with their intuition and their senses and their surroundings. I felt like that would be a more viable way to share this experience of mindfulness with these people, more than playing music. So that really set my trajectory in a certain way, and everything I've done with my art always has a little bit of that mindfulness sort of messaging or lesson hidden in there. So that was a really like clarifying, pivotal, defining moment in my trajectory and development as just a creative person in general. And it helped me answer a lot of questions. It helped me realize the things that I needed to ditch, and the things that I needed to focus on. So yeah, I was really thankful for that moment. And I advise anyone who's going through a similar process of self-questioning and growth and development, be it creatively or really in anything that you do, ask yourself, why do you do what you do? And when you can confidently answer that question, I think it'll clear up a lot for any choices and decisions you make going forward. I really I wanted to share that little anecdote because I want that message, that, or just that little tidbit of wisdom. Ask yourself why you do what you do, to resonate and spread throughout this community, because I would love to see this tribe grow into a tribe of artists that really know, that are strong and really know what they're about. Anyways, so I kept this idea of creative mindfulness with me when I was studying with Alan and John, and it sort of permeated in everything I did. I adopted a lot of techniques in painting while studying with them, to specifically target and combat my own self-judgmental voices in my head here. So I did nearly all my paintings with my left hand. I painted with a big brush the size of my, as big as my iPhone, which I can't find right now. I would paint in the dark. I would paint at night by candlelight. All these like handicaps that I would place on myself deliberately to not overthink it, to not even be able to begin to think about it, to only have my vision and my hands and my brushes and my paint, and just respond as best as I could to what I was seeing. I wanted as pure of an experience of vision as possible. Yeah. So it was, I learned a lot. And I got, if you fast forward through my studies to 2020, during the pandemic, all these ideas of using art as a form of mental health practice, mental health, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it got proper tested in 2020 when the pandemic hit. I was living alone in Aix-en-Provence, France, and I think we went through, well, in that year of 2020, we went through 2 national lockdowns. And the first one, I went into it like really cavalier, honestly. I was like, oh man, I was built for this. I'm an only child. I grew up playing alone. Like I was literally born for this. And like finally, like introverts get their day. You know what I mean? I was really, yeah, cavalier about it. I was like, oh, this ain't nothing, no skin off my back. I can handle this. By the time the second one came around, it was much more difficult, I found, to be, to feel centered and grounded being alone all the time. And I developed this routine of, it was pretty amazing, honestly. I mean, it all kind of naturally fell into place, but I had a pretty strict routine to keep myself grounded. I would wake up at the same time every morning. I would exercise around the same time. I would meditate around the same time every evening, and I would go to sleep at the same time every night. In the middle there, in the afternoon, right around golden hour, I would paint every single day. I had this beautiful view out my window. And if you if you follow me on Instagram, I have tons of photos of just the view out my window, which served as a very reliable motif to paint from. Anyways, so as the sun was setting, I would set up my gear, my easel and everything, and I would just knock out a painting. And that was my time to not be in here, to be freed from the ball and chain of my own thoughts, and to look outside and sort of be reminded that there's a whole world out there, and it's not just the news that I see on my screens. Unfortunately, I had to leave in a hurry. I was going through some visa issues at the same time as the second lockdown, and I had to leave in a hurry right afterwards. And all the work that I did during that second lockdown in France, I had to leave behind. Um, Most of you should know O'Neill Cushman, and he was gracious enough to let me keep these paintings in his garage. And I wasn't sure when I was going to be able to come back to retrieve them, but he kind of just gave me a blank check, dude. Just leave it here. It's a tough time. It's not, I'll watch them for you. It's all right. So I had that time in lockdown, in isolation, testing this whole grand idea of mine. Does does artistic practice really grant you mindfulness and peace and stuff? And fast forward to this year, I got I finally felt ready to go back to France and really, give O'Neill back the space in his garage, and take my paintings back home. And I was talking about and saying, oh yeah, like I'm gonna go to France this summer, get my paintings back. And some people that I work with suggested that, or basically presented me with this opportunity to collaborate with a rosé brand from Aix-en-Provence called X Rosé, to help tell my story, which is not an idea that I would have brainstormed on my own, to be perfectly 100% honest with you all. But sure enough, they connected me with their director of marketing, and they had a little bit of a budget to help me get the paintings home and to pay for a videographer to create a series of videos to tell the story of me using painting, depending on painting, to be my sort of grounding mental health practice during this really difficult time. I want to play just 1 minute of the introduction of that series, and I'll show you where you can view the rest of it on your own time. Yeah, let's do that, and then I'll move on from there. Okay, so this is Instagram. That's not what I want to show you. Let me maximize that. All right, cool. Here we go. So real quick, while we're looking at this is my website, one of my websites. I have two. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother talk. But this is one of them. So if you go to nickcruzvelleman.com, you could check out, the Lost Collection is what I called this collection of artwork that I had to leave behind in France, partly because I felt very lost at the time that I was making them, but also because I literally had to leave them behind and find them again. So I called it the Lost Collection. But if we go here, I have a little more of a description of, just the premise, the context of behind the Lost Collection. And there's a video here that I'm going to play for you all. Okay. I don't want to mute. No, unmute. All right, cool. Let's do this.
November 2020. I had been living in France, but my visa to stay got rejected. I had to leave, but where would I go? France was in lockdown. The US had not yet chosen its new president, and without vaccines, travel was risky.
Let it go. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, this has to be precious. You cannot pollute it with things that are not necessary,
Despite my mom's advice, I still felt anxious. So I did what I could with what I had. Painting has always been a mental health practice for me. And at a time like this, when everything felt uncertain, I really depended on it. So every day, I would paint the sunset from my window to get out of my head and reconnect with the world a little bit. For several weeks, I painted every single day, But because I had to leave in a hurry once the lockdown ended, I had to leave these paintings behind in France. But this year, I'm bringing them home.
All right. So that's sort of a taste in the very beginning of a series of 5 videos that I worked on this summer, sort of telling the story and documenting my journey back to the south of France, to O'Neill's garage, to bring back this this artwork that helped me through a really really difficult time. So actually, no, let me go back to sharing my screen for a moment. Okay. No. So that's my website. I have a YouTube channel as well. Search Sight and Insight. This is probably what it'll look like. That's a preview with very loud, enthusiastic music and me and the markets of X and all that stuff. So this is my YouTube channel. This is probably what it's going to look like when you see it. But if you go to playlists, you can find the Lost collection here and you can watch the whole thing. So be sure to check that out on your own time when you get a chance. While we're here actually looking at the videos that I have, if you look at Book of Sight and Insight, that's a playlist. I self-published a book during the pandemic about all of these sort of harebrained techniques that I used while studying with Alan and John to fight my own ego and self-judgment. I put it into a book organized into chapters, 1 chapter devoted to each technique. You could find that on my website too, or you could watch this playlist where I do summaries of each chapter, in case that's something that interests you. Cool. So that kind of summarizes past and present. So now, what's up with the future? Well, I feel pretty strongly about using art and demystifying the creative process for people to see and experience for themselves what parts of it they could adopt into their own lives to maybe access a little bit of this mental health, the mental health mindfulness benefits from it. And I'm going about it. I wish I could say slow and steady. I don't know. I'm more of a sprinter than a long distance runner, frankly. So it's felt pretty. I put myself through a rigorous couple years, really trying to just throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. But especially with this community, first off, you may notice that I put sight and insight on everything that I do in this sort of realm of my work, trying to just demystify the creative process for people to reap the mindfulness and mental health benefits. And that, of course, comes from the syllabus of the curriculum we all know and love. And it's what I've been calling just the sort of this body of work that I'm creating as an educator, sort of, yeah, unpacking and illuminating the life lessons, insights, and benefits from a regular creative practice. Something I've gotten into recently, unrelated to music and painting and drawing, is martial arts. Ever since I got back to the States, I've taken up boxing. It kind of started in the pandemic, to be honest. I knew I needed some form of exercise to stay healthy, to keep my immune system up. And I'm not a runner. Like I said, I'm not a distance runner. But I took up boxing. I would just like go in the streets and sort of like shadow box in my reflection in like the empty storefront windows. And I've gotten more and more into it, and I watch a lot of martial arts. But there's a Japanese master swordsman martial artist named Miyamoto Musashi, who said, "If you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things." I feel like studying at Marchutz, studying with Alan and John, they've done an excellent, excellent job of showing me the way broadly. And what I want to do next is to start pointing out where I see it in all things. So I take the lessons that I gained from my art studies in France, and I try and examine how the creative process behaves, but also how I can use that to sort of understand how things like prejudice, social justice, and mental health behave. So one way that I did that this year actually was I gave a TED Talk. Man, I got an opportunity to give a TED Talk at Georgetown University earlier this year. And my talk was entitled Paint and Prejudice. And basically, I used Alan's color talk to demonstrate how we could, learning to mix colors as an artist could actually help us experience and practice non-judgment and become aware of our own prejudice. Next year, I'm hoping to begin offering a workshop that I'm going to title Drawing for the Everyday Overthinker. And I want that to be just like something I could do with school groups, with companies, with any organization, and have it be just like a short, concise sort of introduction to a sketching practice. Honestly, it's not much more than that. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. But these are the kinds of things that I'm really passionate about. These are the kinds of things that I just think about whether I like it or not. These ideas are constantly erupting in my head, and I'm trying to focus them and harness them so that I can deliver something positive to any community that I insert myself into, based on my rich, unique experiences studying art with Alan and John in the south of France. So yeah, so let's see, I talked about the TED Talk, talked about the workshop I want to give. On a much sooner time frame in the future, I will be teaching online classes for Leo Marchutz School. And I wanted to do, what inspires me to do this is, well, having gone there to study and having come back now 3 separate times, the adjustment to coming back from that rich, unique environment, it never gets easier. It only gets harder. It's impossible to recreate at home. Or maybe maybe if I lived in like Santa Fe, New Mexico, I'd have an easier time. But here in Washington, D.C., nah, not so much. I keep up a practice myself, but it ain't the same. And I know I'm not alone. Or I know that I never was alone being an alum coming back and sort of figuring out like, well, how am I going to do this here? How am I going to continue the habit of art? How am I going to continue practicing? So I really wanted to help those in our community who want that little boost to sort of get back into it. Those of us who want to get back into our habit of art, into our practice. So I devised 2 programs. One is a 1-day, well, let me start with the class. One is a 3-week class called, Rose, help me here. Is it Revisiting Rembrandt or Rembrandt Revisited?
Revisiting Rembrandt.
Voila. Okay, cool.
Voila. C'est ça.
C'est ça. And I want to take a closer look at Rembrandt's statement on drawing, which most of us are familiar with. And actually, if any of you take any other classes with me, Jenny, I know you've seen this statement before. Mary, you too. yeah, I want to take a deeper look into that statement and really pull apart how it can guide our drawing, and also what it sort of implies and suggests beyond the sketchpad. I think there's a lot to do in that statement with how we focus our attention, actually, how we, our perspective, our view on certain situations. And I want an opportunity to not only help people get back into the habit of art, back into their practice of drawing, but also see the significance of it, see that it has implications and can make an impact on them and their environments, their communities, and their surroundings. Coupled with that will be a one-day workshop called The Habit of Art, where I will share basically ways to develop good habits, good practice habits. And, you know, what you practice grows stronger. I think, personally, I think your dedication and your discipline with your practice and your habits around that, that is going to be a greater determining factor in how much you grow as an artist than whatever techniques you may know or may have studied. So I'm really excited to offer those workshops, classes, and programs in January. And I hope, yeah, I hope it really resonates with the community. I really hope, you know, people are inspired to get back into drawing, even if it's just like a little, you know, I have this little sketch pad. I was never, man, okay, Alan and John from day one were like, you all should keep a sketch pad and you should draw on it every day. And like, I tried my best, but no, I didn't make that many drawings in my sketch pad because I wanted to make oil paintings. That's what I flew all the way over there for, and that's what I wanted to do. That's what excited me. That was the release. That was the magic that I wanted to experience. And now, you know, back home, I don't really have much space for oil paintings, to be frank. I've got a balcony right there that I could paint on, but beyond that, that's it. So yeah, I'm limited to like doing, not limited, but I've had to shift back to the sketchbook practice. Anyways, why I'm saying this is because I would love for us to get back into it, get back into drawing, get back into the habit of art and creating. But also because I really think, given the time that this community is in, this time of really sharp evolution, something I've learned from playing music is that literally no matter what happens, if you're in a band and you're playing and you're performing, you can't stop playing music. You cannot stop. Even if you run out of ideas, you cannot stop making music happen. If you're improvising, I mean, you know, if things are going slow, you know, you have to improvise. You have to listen to what the others are playing, and you have to, you know, maybe pivot, change, try new things, you know, throw spaghetti at the wall, keep improvising, whatever, but you can't stop playing music at all. Alan always says the beat goes on, and we are responsible for keeping the beat on. So I guess by offering these courses, I want to empower the other artists in this community to keep making art, to keep playing that music, because that's what's going to keep this alive. That's what's going to keep this propelling, moving forward as we change and we grow and we redirect and we pivot and we figure out what works together. We can't stop playing music, whether it's drawing in a sketch pad, or whether it's going to museums, taking your friends to museums and talking in front of those paintings, you know, connecting with people that you studied with, going on painting excursions, painting trips, all of that, that is the music that we play in this community, and we cannot stop playing that music. So I want to do my part, offer my skills and my experience, having become an online educator, in the past couple of years, to sort of empower us all, yeah, to keep playing that music. All right. I think I've gone over everything that I've wanted to go over, and I think I've definitely talked for close to 30 minutes, and I do want to leave some time for questions and answers. I'm gonna just take one quick glance at my notes real fast to make sure. Yeah, that's good for now. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Alan, Rose, John, for everything that you've done for this institution and for me personally. And I think about this place a lot, and all the time that I've spent are memories that I can always go back to if I ever need to feel grounded, or I need something to sort of hold me down and make me feel tethered again. So I'm really grateful to have shared that with so many of you. And yeah, let's keep playing this music.
Thank you, Nick. Let's open it up. Yes, round of applause for Nick. Let's open it up to questions. If anyone has a question, why don't we do this? You can like raise your hand like this on the screen, and I'll just say your name, and then you can unmute yourself to ask your question. Does that sound good? Let's see. Questions, anybody?
Yeah, Jenny. Oh, Jenny's clapping. I thought Jenny was raising her hand. My bad.
I can get us started. Nick, I was thinking you're doing so many things right now, you know, with putting your teaching and sort of more on the, I guess, philosophical side. What is your art practice like these days? What are you making? What are your works that you're creating right now?
Yeah, so I will be perfectly honest. I don't feel like I am making, my practice is mostly centered around the things that I teach. So if I have a lesson on, shadow and light in drawing, I'm practicing how I use my shadows to intensify my light in my drawing. It's mostly just short little drawings in sketch pads. Yeah, nothing crazy. I don't really get to fling paint at a canvas freely and make the heart that lives make the art that lives in my heart right now. It's really, this whole becoming an online educator thing is still pretty new to me, so I'm just trying to stay on top of that. It's a lot of fine liner ink drawings, graphite pencil, of course, and recently watercolor. Yeah, and I try to practice at least twice a week. That's probably the best I can manage right now. And it's usually at this desk that I'm sitting at right now. If you could all see it, I'm kind of surrounded by art supplies. I've got pencils and I don't know, all sorts of, things here. But I do hope to return to oil painting one day when I have the space for it. That's kind of been another thing too, moving back here to my childhood home. It's an apartment in a city. I don't have that much space. I can't be knocking out 200, 300 oil paintings a year, or else I'll be drowning in them. So I've moved primarily to works on paper, and I've just been playing with fine liner ink pens, graphite sticks, and watercolor mostly.
Cool. Let's see, I see a couple of questions here. So let's go with Tamsin first.
Hi.
Sorry if I didn't say your name correctly.
That was correct. Very good. Thank you. Two things. One, when you said you were doing art to calm the voices in your head, I said, okay, that's why I'm doing it. I've been trying to figure out why. But that was spot on for me. So thank you. Yeah. And two, the other thing that I've just started only about a year ago working on art, and I find myself oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to try that. I want to try this. And I just keep kind of flitting from one thing to another. And I don't know if I should say to myself, no, stick with this one thing, or if I should just allow myself to go from one thing to another.
Okay, so your question is go deep in one or explore many, but maybe not as deep?
Yes.
Before I answer your question, Tamsin, have I've had you before in one of my workshops, right? Is that, yeah. What,
Sorry.
was it with this? No, it's all right. Was it with the Smithsonian? Because I recognize your name and I remember your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for being here and finding out about this event, and joining us. Okay, I think everyone's different, honestly. I like, in my heart, I like depth.
Uh-huh.
I like to go deep to the bottom of a select few things. That's my self perspective. I think my actions might sort of be evidence that I kind of spread myself thin amongst many things. But I guess I think everyone has different needs. I think everyone has different needs when it comes to their artistic practice. And I think you should practice the medium or media in whatever order, sequence, fashion, in whatever way that will make you keep practicing art.
Okay.
So if that means, trying watercolors on Monday, gouache on Tuesday, acrylic on Wednesday, oil on Thursday, if that's what keeps you making art, keep doing that. If going deep into, I don't know, like Sumi ink drawings is going to keep you practicing art, that's what you should do. Everyone has different needs. Everyone has different things that will hold their attention. And I think really protecting your motivation to keep coming back to your sketch pad, to your workspace, whatever, that's the most important thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
I see a question here in the chat from Miriam. Miriam, do you want to ask it, or should I read it for you? Let's see, you're on mute. There
Yeah,
you go.
no, I'm fascinated by your connection to music and art, because it's not uncommon. And how does it work? Do you listen to music while you do art, or does it come from the same creative place? Where do you see that nexus?
Yeah, sure. So actually very recent, well, first off, yes, I do almost always listen to music while I make art. I can't really say that the kind of music I listen to affects my art very much, if that makes sense. I'm kind of just listening to whatever feels good that week. But at the same time, I've definitely climbed up to the top of the hill in Giverny and blasted heavy metal in my ears and painted paintings that looked like I was blasting heavy metal in my ears. So yeah, maybe it happens. Recently, I kind of made the distinction in my mind that I do feel more, when I paint and draw, I feel more like a creator making something. I am making something in front of me. And when I play music, I feel much more like I am inhabiting the sound that I'm creating, and that the sound becomes my entire existence. So it's not so much that I'm making something, but it is that I am becoming something. So that is a distinction that I kind of sort of arrived at recently. And yeah, yeah.
Isn't it the case that while you're making that art, you're inhabiting it too?
Yeah, you're absolutely, I mean, yeah, it's not like it's not a dichotomy. There's overlap for sure. Like I do inhabit my brush to a certain degree, especially in the beginning of the paintings. I do inhabit the moment. I guess I'm always inhabiting the moment. But maybe lately, I guess when I've been practicing, I think I feel like I'm more like I'm a maker. I'm making something. Yeah.
Can we see one of those G. Verny paintings where you were listening to?
Heavy metal, yeah. Give me 1 second. I know exactly the one. You've seen this. Well, I mean, of course you've seen this one before. Is that a good photo? Yeah, that'll do it for now.
Or any other one that you want to?
No, this is a good one. This is a good one.
Show us some paintings.
So here we go. This is a sunset. I'll spare you from the music, but this is if you're interested, it's a band called Mastodon, like the you know the mythical elephant dinosaur buried in ice. And this is what I was listening to at full blast. I think this was fall 2019. It was our first night arriving in Giverny, and I went straight up the hill to catch the sunset. And yeah, this is what came out.
Lovely. Could you show us some paintings from the Lost collection?
Absolutely.
Or from any other time that you would like to share?
Yeah, of course. Let me get there we go. All right. So I'll show you my favorites from the Lost collection. There's 8 of them. And I'm not going to go through all 8, frankly, but we can look at a couple of my favorites. So I'll actually start with this one. So this was a cloudier day. It's a little rougher. Maybe I was a little more anxious, and I was trying to get that out through my brush strokes. Working here, semi-abstract, but this is kind of an example of what I was working on. All this stuff at the bottom, the warmer colors, I guess, is the rooftops of X, some of the architecture, and most of the composition is taken up by sky. I often look to the sky and get my kicks painting clouds. So this one is a little more tormented, but I could find one, this one here, that's a little brighter, a little more cheerful, maybe a little sunnier. It's funny, actually, you know, I talked about that big paintbrush that I used to paint with, and I actually switched to smaller ones when making this. Small round ones. I used to do big flat ones, but I have use a smaller round brush for these paintings. The ones that I'm really pleased with, there's 2 that I'm really pleased with. Let me see if I could just go sideways to them. Oh, not you. Yeah. I'm really happy with this guy. And then I can show you one more. There we go. Okay. So I will admit this was a sunrise. I know I said I painted every sunset, but I will admit this was a sunrise, which is why the buildings down here are in a little more silhouette. But yeah, you know, Alan, I don't know if you ever got to see these.
Yeah, no, I didn't see these, Nick.
Thank you for sharing these, Nick. Are there any questions about the work? Anybody from our lovely audience out there? Any questions? I want to be mindful that we're getting to the end
Yeah.
of our hour. So if anyone has to sign off, thank you so much for joining us. But if there are questions or you want to have further discussion with Nick, I'll stay on and keep the call going so that anyone that wants to chat or ask any last minute questions, we can do so. We can keep this rolling.
Yeah, I'm happy to stick around for a couple more minutes too, if anyone wants to chat further. But beyond that, thank you all for being here, and thank you all for supporting me.
Thank you, Nick, for doing this for us. This has been so wonderful. And it's so great of you to take the time and show us what you're up to and your work. And yeah, we really appreciate you being our featured artist of November.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one thing that I want to share with you all before we all jump out of here. But
Please.
I do have a I actually have another. I'm doing a shoot. I have too many windows open now. Rose, we were just talking about this. How many tabs can we have open, right? Well, actually, you know what? Rose, I'll just kindly ask you to email everyone. I have one more artist talk tomorrow that I'm doing with Iona. So all my around town DC Iona peeps, they probably know about it. But we're going to be screening my TED talk that I gave earlier this year, and I'll be doing another Q&A related to that. I can't find the link right now quickly enough, but I'll make sure that you all get it today, and
Perfect.
hopefully you can join me tomorrow.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Nick. And everybody else, I'll email you all a link to the recording of this. So if you have any friends or family that might be interested in the talk, you can send it out to them. I'll also send links to Nick's website and social media and the talk he just mentioned. So you all have everything at your fingertips. And he also, many of those paintings that you saw, I believe, are on his website. So if you need any Christmas or holiday gifts for your family and friends, they're available, I believe. That's just a plug for you.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Rose, thanks for doing that. I have paintings for sure. I do have some like holiday gift items as well. I have
Cool.
sketch pads. Let me actually show you guys real fast. So I made these guys. I'm playing with, like, trying to multiple streams of income, but I do have these like nifty little Lost Collection sketchbooks, and I have some holiday cards that you can get as well if you want to, send season's greetings in style. So you can check that out on my website as well. Thanks, Rose.
So sweet. Of course. And also, if you're interested in signing up for Nick's online courses that he's going to be teaching with us in January and February, I'll send a link out for those as well. But there's more information on our website about those courses, and they should be really fun. So wonderful. Thank you all. So good to see so many of your faces. Thanks for coming. And we'll be announcing our featured artist of December soon. So keep an eye out for our next featured artist. And thank you for continuing to come to these talks. It's so fun to see all of our lovely community members here. So heartwarming. Thank you. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon. Hi, Susan.
Nick, are you playing any music in DC?
No, not right now. Actually, well, no, I go to jam sessions.
Well,
I can't, I don't have the time. God, being in a band is such a time commitment and not exactly like a lot of revenue, if you catch my drift. And I do want to keep my skills sharp and my ears sharp. So I play in a lot of jam sessions. There's a couple around town, and I show up and I jam